Today I'm going to show you the easiest way to pour a concrete pad with a super simple tool. Hey everybody, Chad Cruiser here with Health and Homestead. We're going to be using the mud mixer, so I'm going to show you how to pour a simple concrete pad and the process. The first thing you need to do is do some grading to get the ground ready. We basically just used the shovel, cleared the area, leveled it out, and used a tamper to tamp it down and level it. One of the things you can do is use a 2x4 to give you an idea if you have an accurate level. We're getting close here. It takes a while. This is not easy if you're doing it by hand. It's easier obviously with some heavy equipment. We don't have that, so we're doing it by hand. The form that I made was very simple. It was for the shed that I'm making. I needed it to be 88 inches by 130 inches, and so I just basically cut out 2x4s to those dimensions. So now we got the wood in place, and from there we've made sure that it is level, and now we want to begin laying in the rebar. So we're doing roughly a 4-inch pad in this situation. So I've cut and spaced out my rebar, and generally they suggest somewhere between 18 to 24-inch spacing on your rebar. So this is something that you put underneath the rebar to support it, to hold it off the ground. This company calls it a rod chair. Others, I think they call it Adobe or a bridge. Basically, you put this underneath the rebar to support it. And we have to make sure to be able to hold it up. And this is gonna be a little high, so I'm gonna end up having to push this down. But we also have these fantastic little rebar ties, and you bring the two eyes together. Once you have those two eyes together, you can simply take your little tool, which costs you around $8, but you just spin it around a few times and bend it down and you are good to go. Now you can also do it here and here if you want to, or at least one of them, and do it in several places. And I will not put a chair at every angle. I'll probably put it every other or even less between the junctions of the bars, just to keep it supported. And remember, obviously, once it's inside the cement, it's going to hold it in place and it's going to harden there. So you just want it to be strong enough so that you can have this thing floating. So I go through tying all the rebar together, making sure the bridges are in place, then we're ready to go on to the next part. Okay, before I stake in the form, what I need to do is I need to make sure I have true 90-degree angles. And you might think, okay, maybe I could just use a quick square, but it's a little hard with a long distance like this. So one of the things you can do is you can do the 3, 4, 5 method. Now you have to know that you have right angles, and one of the ways to do it is do the 3, 4, 5 method. If you measure out 3 feet on the left side, 4 feet on the right, and then you connect with your measuring tape that mark at 3 feet and 4 feet, it should be 5 feet long. If you get any number other than 5 feet on this angle here, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to twist it back and forth a little bit to make sure you are square, and then you're ready to go. These are super helpful. These are these steel stakes that have holes in them. And what you do is, as you set up your frame, once you make sure that you have it level, then you can stake these into the ground and drill a screw right through these, and so that you're holding it up. That way it's going to stay level the whole time you're working. One of the beneficial things you can do is to spray WD-40 on the inside of your form on the 2x4s. The reason is, or whatever size wood you have, so that when the concrete is finally cured and hardened, that it'll be able to come off. It's not going to stick right to the concrete. So I'm going to go around and begin to spray. And after this, we're ready to actually begin pouring the concrete. So here is the mud mixer, and this is a high quality tool that can do the cement work for you. Okay, that's not quite right. It can do the cement mixing for you. So the only two things you need are an extension cord. Now I've used, in this situation, I'm close enough to my house that I can do it. I've also used it with a generator. So after plugging it in, the next thing that you'll need is to be able to have a water source. For me, I have a well, and so that's my water source. And you can use this, and you can use the water spigot either when the machine is turned on. If you have the knob turned in the right direction, it will turn on. You can spray anything you need to, you can clean it off. Or if the machine is turned off, you turn it the other way, and then you're able to get water even when the machine is turned off, as long as you have your water source going. It's really a super simple design. You have a forward and a backward button. If it gets jammed, you just go backwards for a moment, but typically you're going forward and you're taking the concrete out. And then you have this lever that turns the water down or up. If it's too dry, you turn it up. If it's too wet, you turn it down, obviously, and you find kind of that sweet spot that works for you. All you have to do is drop the bags of cement on top here. When you drop the bag down on the hopper, it has this kind of sharp piece of metal in there that will break the bag, and then you simply pull the bag out. One of the other nice things is that you can turn it. A little knob here in the back, you can turn it. If you want to send it off, send your cement off in another direction. It has an additional arm that can lengthen it. Now I'm renting this thing, so I don't have that. They didn't have it. They also have an additional hopper that's taller. See, at this point you can basically fit, I don't know, a bag and a half in at a time, whereas you can fit two, maybe a little bit more when you have the larger hopper. That way you can have a little more time working on things. This way you got to keep running, but it still works pretty good. So as the mix goes into here, you turn on the button, you take your bag, in my case it's 80-pound bags of concrete, drop it into the hopper. It breaks over the sharp point in there, and you just pull off the bags after that and do your best not to breathe in the smoke from that stuff or the dust from that. It's not good for you. You have two lines that spray the concrete, and then the auger pushes it right out at the end. So at this point, it's just bag after bag and pushing it around, in this case with a garden hoe, and that gets you ready to finally come along with your trusty 2x4 to begin the screeding process. And it seems for us the best way to do it is take that 2x4 and kind of push it back and forth, back and forth. If you just pull it all at once, it seems to leave a lot of bumpy spots, but if you kind of jiggle it back and forth over and over and over again, it finally gets nice and clean, and it just has a nice look in the end. One of the difficulties we had that really was not the fault of the mud mixer was our well. Our well at times pumps out quite a bit of water and other times less, so we'd go back and forth. You'd have to turn up and down the little knob. If you had a consistent flow of water, you wouldn't really have trouble. You'd figure out, okay, this is the setting for us, but we'd be turning it up. Sometimes it'd be too dry, sometimes it'd be too wet, and we'd kind of have to go back and forth. And you can see we kind of turned out a bit wet at times and dry at others. So you just keep up the process until you finally have the entire thing done. Once you have it poured and screeded, afterward go around with a hammer and begin to tap the sides. This can help to loosen up some of the bubbles that might be on the side, or else you have these holes and pockets where air was, and as a result you're going to have maybe empty spaces that might negatively impact the integrity of your concrete. Once you do, though, one of the things that you're going to want to do, it's generally suggested that about 2 to 4 hours afterward you start watering it down, and you want to water it down maybe 5 to 10 times a day for upwards of roughly a week to help the curing process. Then within about 24 to 48 hours, you can go around, you can begin to take out your stakes. So you unscrew those, pull them out, and then you begin to actually take the form apart itself. And once you have, you can remove the form. You're going to want to keep watering it for several days after this just to allow it to continue to cure. And this thing just makes it so that you want to get out and lay a pad yourself. It just makes it so much easier. You don't have to put it in the big turbine or tube and slowly and kind of mix it and dump it out. This just kind of, you drop it in, it just does the rest. And obviously you gotta push it around and everything, but it makes it so much easier. Now, depending on how large a project you're working on, you can either save hundreds or thousands of dollars by renting something like this. Now, if you use it regularly, buying it would be an option, and I'm going to have some links down below, so you're going to want to check that out. Anything you'd like to share down below to help others out, or if you have any questions, write them down below. If you haven't seen this video here, you're not going to want to miss this one. If you like this video, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notifications. God bless and have a fantastic day.